Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are in the world. We're so excited to have you here today for day 2 of the Awakened Leadership Masterclass. It's going to be a fantastic day. Okay, welcome to the new people that weren't able to attend yesterday. Welcome to you. Hello, wherever you are dialing from in the world. I just said that in such a funny way. I said, where are you dialing from into the world? Let's just think about that. It's no big deal when you make fumbles in grammar, right? We're all here to learn and have fun together. Okay. If you were here yesterday, tell us in the chat box, what was your biggest takeaway? Let us know in the chat box, what was your biggest takeaway? Hello from New Brunswick, Victoria, BC, Switzerland. Oh my goodness, we've got the map on this call. This is fantastic. If you were here yesterday, please drop in the chat box. What was your biggest takeaway? Welcome to those that are just joining us for the first time. We're so happy to have you. I'm taking a look at what some takeaways were. Yes, the reminder of absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That was such a strong takeaway as well. Varsha said, leading self and having faith in the process. Yes. Oh, so many excellent takeaways. Julia said, event action. Jalpa said, leadership is leading you. Excellent. Event action. Oh, so many takeaways. This is wonderful. Keep rating your takeaways from yesterday in the chat box. If today is your first day joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be dropping the link to our success circle in the chat box soon so that you can see some of the home play that was uploaded. Thank you to all of those who did the home play. And if you weren't able to join us yesterday, home play is another word for homework. It's play, right? It's all fun. We all have fun here. So thank you for that. And we'll drop that link as well. So if you haven't had a chance to drop or upload or write your answers in the success circle, you can still do it. It's not too late. Not too late at all. Okay. My name is Gabby. I have the pleasure of working with Hina Khan Worldwide and our amazing, amazing team. But I don't think you're here for me. You're here for the one and only Hina Khan. I'm going to bring her up in a moment. But before I do, welcome. I see more people joining. Welcome. All right. Kanishka, if you can bring Hina up, and everyone, if you can raise your hands and give us a silent wave. Welcome to Peak Performance Coach, former psychotherapist, Hina Khan.
Thank you, Gabby. Welcome, everybody, to day 2. I got to tell you, I loved day 1. I think every masterclass, I feel like this is my favorite. And that's how I feel about this one. And it's no shade to the other things I've done. It's because I'm different. So I'm showing up differently from the last masterclass that I did and the masterclass before that. And we're attracting, more and more people into what we are doing. One of the things Gabby talked about was the home play. So first of all, I want to say, if you were not here yesterday, let me know in the chat. If you were not here yesterday. And the home play that we had here, Jim, you weren't here yesterday. So do not worry. You can, Crystal, Sabrina, Ashima. Okay, so for those of you that had missed it yesterday, you have the replay or can access the replay and you want to watch it. You want to watch it for a number of reasons. It was very good. You're going to have a breakthrough. And you're also going to hear from 2 people. You'll hear from Lexi and Nicole. And what they really talk about is managing their mind during uncertain times and showing up as a leader. And I think you're going to find it very inspiring. You'll also see the home play. Now, some of you were on the call yesterday, but didn't do the home play. And that's absolutely okay. It is what it is. We don't want to judge ourselves. But sometimes when we feel like, well, I didn't do it, we just abandon it completely. So again, a leader, you give yourself a command and you follow it. So I want to invite you, if you have not done it yet, to still do it and still upload it. And that is not for me, that is for you. It's so powerful to do what you say you're going to do, to keep promises to yourself. It is a way of increasing your self-image. And we can't outperform our self-image. And as leaders, your self-image is everything. And you're creating your self-image. You're creating a way of being that then moves into the doing. I want to talk about the doing for a second. In your home play, and I gotta say, like, kudos to you guys playing full out. For all of you that we're taking down who is showing up live, who is doing the home play, and you can win one of these that was given to me personally by my mentor, Bob Proctor, bless him. One side is smooth, one side is rough. The rough side represents reaction. The smooth sides represent response. And as a leader, you want to be responding and not reacting. A leader that you're going to hear from today, who I think has nailed this, is Liz Bovey. You're going to hear from her later. You're also going to hear from Ashima, who I feel really worked on a different R and nailed that. And that is receiving, enlarging her capacity to receive, which affected another R, her revenue. So you're going to hear from them a little bit later on. So now I want to get back to the action piece that I had said. In the home play yesterday, we talked about getting crystal clear about your goal and then creating and matching the feelings with the goal accomplished. And then from that, creating the actions that you would take. What happens, and it happened yesterday, and it's so common, is actions that we write are almost very vague. Like, I'm showing up as my best self, or I don't know, maybe can somebody put an action that you think is sort of a vague action? I am, I'd have to look at the list. Let's see if someone's got that. I want to lose weight. Yeah. Yes. What else? What else would be, I want to be happy. Yes, I'm happy every day. So maybe that was written in the action. I'm setting up more meetings. What I want to invite you to do is go back to the actions and get specific. So I want a better marriage, for example. Liz Bovey put that on as an example. What is the action of a person that desires a better marriage? It's so critical. And this is a place where I see that creates confusion and a misunderstanding. Can I go further? Here's how it creates confusion and a misunderstanding. This is what Mario said yesterday. Our subconscious needs clarity. It works on clarity. So when we say something like, I want a better marriage, it's also a yes to that. Yes, you want a better marriage. Yes, you want a better marriage. So your actions are going to be from, I want a better marriage, keeping you in the result of wanting a better marriage. Okay, this is freaking nuanced. Are you guys getting this? We're starting strong here. As opposed to, I am making eye contact every time my partner speaks to me. I am putting my phone away. I am asking my partner first, how was their day? Do you see how that is so specific? We don't get what we want, we get how we feel about what we want. So we can want a better marriage, but then we want to add the feelings of what would that feel like, and then we want the doing to come from the feeling. Love that. So I want you to think about your actions for those of you that wrote them down, and let me know in the chat, are they specific enough? Is it a list that you could get moving on? If it's reaching out to people, so for example, some of you wrote, and I love this, I want to build a board of directors, let's say. Perfect. The action then is reaching out to 10 people. Do you see that? Are you getting the difference here? It's so important because we don't realize how we are setting ourselves up to not succeed just by these little things. Sumira says she loves the distinction. It's such an important distinction, and it will alleviate frustration, because you may feel frustrated as to, but I want the thing, I'm believing it, like, why is this not happening? It's what we call, and this is something that I teach, it's a term called praxis. And it's when you're integrating your behavior with your belief. Behavior, you're doing, what does it look like in action? Jude said, I'm getting specific in my actions, going back in. Jude, I'm so proud of you. That is incredible. Go back in, take each of those points and say, what is the action of this? What does this look like in action? That's going to create the momentum. And this is what leaders need. Do you want to follow a leader that is confused, that does not have clarity? It's very difficult to know what to do from a leader that is confused because they're not giving you clear direction. So we want to give our subconscious mind clear direction. We want to move our body into clear direction. And I want to say something about this. And this is so interesting. I wonder if Pooja's on the call. Pooja, if you're in the call, give me a hello in the chat. Are you here? Looking. If I see you here. Okay. Just because Pooja sent me something this morning, and it was exactly what I talked about on my morning call. First, I want to tell you, first, let's go back to the slide from yesterday for a moment. And let's go back to this, to the apple. So the apple, when so the apple is the goal. The goal is, I would like to have an apple. When we plant the seed, because we understand this law of how an apple comes into being, we know that when we plant the seed, that we have started the process of the apple. Because we understand the law, when I asked you yesterday, if somebody said to you, oh, what is that? And it was underground, you had planted the seeds, many of you said, I would say to them, oh, it's an apple tree. Yeah, I'm planting an apple. So isn't it so helpful, Anushri? I mean, I agree. I love this because you can see that this is the exact same thing that you are doing for your goal. You are planting a seed. You wrote down your goal. Now, what do you think? Now, first of all, I want, again, to bring to your attention that you don't see the apple till the very, very end. But does that mean that the manifestation is not happening? Exactly, Brenda. No, the manifestation is happening. This is why I want you to see this in your life. The journey from seed to ripening of fruit, that's the manifestation process. That is the perpetual transmutation of energy. It all happens underground. And so for so much time, you are not seeing it. Not only are you not seeing it, but it doesn't look like an apple. Do you see this? It does not look like an apple. And many times we miss things because it doesn't look like what we think the final form is. So what do you think happens for a person from planting the seed in their mind to the ripening of fruit? So let's say the person does not make it to the ripening of the fruit. What has happened from germination? What is going on for the person? Why do they not get their apple? Yes, fear sets in. They haven't emotionalized it. Kieran, maybe they stopped believing that they will get it. Yes, all of that. Correct, correct, correct. Anybody else? They can't see it. They don't go into action from the fulfilled state. The terror barrier. Terror barrier is another term that I teach you when we work together. It's that idea of when you are feeling very confronted. And what I can say is the bigger you feel that, the bigger the resistance, the bigger the reward, the bigger the breakthrough on the other side many times. Excuses, yes. Doubt, level of awareness. The statistics show that if we think of that apple as our goal, that, well, you tell me, what percentage, this is according to Forbes magazine, what percentage of people do you think reach their goal? That they have the apple? Oh, you got you're close. You're in there. 7%, which means 93% do not. 93% do not. What is it that happens? It's all what you said. Fear sets in. They abandon. They're not seeing it. The excuses. All of that is what's happening in the germination process. It doesn't look like what they thought. Oh, James got it, 7%. Okay, so I want to share. No, I shared from one person yesterday. I want you to look in the middle here. I want to share this, and then we are going to go into another piece. My Q4 90-day goal was a revenue target for my coaching side business that I started in Q3 of last year. This is a Khan Method coaching graduate. I had a lot of blocks around promoting myself. The biggest one, telling my boss on my corporate job about it. And on December 31st, I had only hit 15% of my goal. I was disappointed in myself, but I decided to keep writing. Can I go back here? She planted a seed. Q4, she wants to hit a certain revenue over the 90 days, over 90 days. She's in there. She hasn't hit it by the end of Q4. She's got 15%. Now, many people here will abandon the goal. They walk away from what they've planted. They walk away. Okay. She did not do that. She decided to keep writing. Well, fast forward to January, and I told my boss, he was not fussed at all. And I started having several friends of friends reach out to me about my coaching. I hit my 90-day goal last week, only 16 days into the year. Then today I had another client sign up, and I realized that I hit the revenue target that I had hoped to earn in 90 days last year in just 24 days in 2023. Focusing on touching lightly on my goal. She didn't abandon it. Overcoming the terror barrier, that fear and judgments, right? Which is what we're going to talk about today. to overcoming the terror barrier to tell my boss about my side business and expanding my capacity to receive. You're going to hear about that today with Ashima. All helped get 2023 off to a great start. Okay. Let's go back here. Well, actually, let me go forward here. This is also what happens. People don't reach the goal, so they abandon it and they come up with reasons to make it logical. Well, it's not for me. Well, it was too ambitious. Well, I can't do it. There's something wrong. All of these reasons. How grateful do you think that she is that she bet on herself, like that it came 23 days later? only 23 days later, she hit her 90-day goal, which was a stretch goal. What we say is, a goal is to grow. It's about who you become. Who did she become when she didn't give up on herself? That's the growth. Who did she? Because here is the thing. She could have also, because remember, part of her was scared. I got to just stop the share so I can see all of you. We'll come back to it. She could have said to herself when she didn't hit it in December, you know what? It's okay. Not worth it. I've got my corporate gig, which would have excused her from having to talk to her boss. There was growth in her talking to her boss. I don't know. Is anybody as excited as I am about this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing how it is so much a mental game? This is inside out. She had the choice. And let me tell you, it is a choice to abandon her goal, but she made a different decision. Why did she make a different decision? How did she come to a different decision? A great predictor, and this is what Pooja sent me. Pooja sent me this morning. Pooja was a former client who will be coming back because I've just decided that she is. So this morning, I talk about this on my morning call. I do morning calls. And then she sends me this. She goes, Hina, I think you'd really like this. A Harvard study showed that 99% of your success is going to be related to, can anybody guess? Get to get a little sip of my drink. Mindset, Anushri says, perseverance. Just close something here. Okay, mindset, perseverance, decision, actions, commitment, my being, persistent self-image, influence surroundings, the time you get uncomfortable. I love that. How much impact you make on others. So good. Okay, do you know what it is? Harvard study. 99% of your success is going to be related to your reference group. Your reference group are the people you associate with. And by changing your reference group, when you change that, it can it does totally transform the way you think. This is what we saw yesterday. We saw this yesterday with Lexi. Lockdown, Nicole, lockdown. Businesses closed for more than 300 days. But she was in a different reference group because that's when she joined us. Her thinking transformed. And why is that? Well, what the studies show is because we are like chameleons. We pick up the traits of who we associate with. And do you know what that is? That is an energy transfer. And I was talking about this on my call today. And I was saying, this is why I say that people transform in my energy. This is why I pay for proximity. I remember Bob sharing this story of when he was young, like in his 20s, he was in a bar after the fire hall, like going to a bar, a local bar, and he looks around and he goes, this bar is filled with a bunch of losers. And then he kind of looks at his hands and goes, oh, I'm here. I must be a loser. Last time he went to a bar and he did, and he stopped drinking too. This was what, now I'm going to share with you what I shared on my morning call. And this is why I loved that Pooja said that to me. Another study that Cody Sanchez references says this. It showed, so think of this in your own business, your own industry, your friends. If you sit next to a high performer, you will outperform by 15%. So a high performer just in your proximity will increase your performance by 15%. I want you to think about that. What would increasing your productivity, your effectiveness by 1% do? What would increasing it by 5% do? What would it mean, yes, Jude, to increase it by 15% just from proximity? If you sit next to a low performer, so think of your group, your reference group. And here's the thing. Oh, it's like, Hina, can you just finish a sentence and then move on? I like interrupt myself. It's just the way it is. We take our goals and our desires and say, what do you think I should do, to low performers, to people that we wouldn't want their results, but they're our family, or they're our friends, or we've known them since high school when we went to that Duran Duran concert together. Or maybe that's just me. If you sit next to a low performer, it will decrease your productivity by 30%. It's the energy of transfer. It's the energy transfer with everybody around them. Your reference group matters. Your environment matters because you are seeing evidence. So this may be your first apple, but you're around people who have planted and brought into the world apples. And they've brought different kinds of apples. You were always thinking of a red apple, but now you're around people and they're letting you know there are green apples. There are different sweetness of apples. There are a variety of apples. And then someone else is saying, and you know what else there is? There are peaches, there are grapefruit, there are oranges, and your whole world is opening up. Your awareness is expanding. And as a leader, and like I said, you are a leader in your role, you are a leader in your life, you are a leader in your family. As a leader, you want to be surrounded by others, and you want to be aware of your reference group, because sometimes it can be very lonely. Everybody is coming to you for decisions. It's like, you are the one that everybody comes to, but who do you go to bounce things off of? Are you going to the person from the 80s that are still doing the same thing? Or are you going to people that have or are doing what it is that you desire? Ashima says, this makes her even more grateful for her mastermind. Absolutely. It's the community. This was one of the biggest change. This was probably the first big change I made, was my circle. And it wasn't about me being better than anybody. I just needed to have a seat at the table where certain conversations were happening, where it was normalized. Also, where I saw, women of color. So, who is your reference group? And how does your reference group impact leadership for you and impact decisions and impact perseverance that says, keep going? We see it done already. Okay, I would love if we could bring up, oh, actually, before we do this, we're going to bring up Liz in a second, so let's get her ready. But let me just go back to the screen for a moment. So again, what is it when you think of your goal that will have you having the physical manifestation of what you desire? What is it that will get you through that? It is your reference group. It's high value mentorship. It is community, and it's taking actions from that place. We do not do it alone. Probably many of the people that you admire, if you look at from celebrities to business owners, they have coaches and mentors for this reason. So, and if we look at like, what is it that is part of that 7% that reaches their goals? I bet you if we looked at their reference group, who they sit beside, they're not sitting beside low performers. They're having high performers rub off on them. Okay. Now, before we bring up Liz Bovey, let me know how we're doing. Are we enjoying this? Scale of 1 to 10. Is this exciting you? Are you feeling it in your body that you are meant for more? This is all a return to you. You are not, there's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect. This is to remind you of who you are. I love this. Okay, I'm just going to answer this question. And it was, how do you change your reference group if you're in a rural community? You do it. This is the beautiful thing. You're in my group right now. You do it. The way I did it first was, you do it online, join groups, even join social, like if you want to join a Facebook group where they're having conversations that are uplifting and positive, where that is in harmony with your goal. You can do it that way. You can create something. What I always ask myself is, what would I love? But this is what's so beautiful with where we are right now, is in the world and the technology. You can have a group like that in a second. You can join our group. You join our group, you are going to be welcomed with, there's many people on this call that are clients. So that's how I would do it. I would start virtual. Nina, I would start virtual. Okay. Yes, look around at the 5 people you spend the most time with, Christina, and they're going to, people that you spend time with are going, it's like attracts like. So for example, I'm with Steve Hardison, my coach, in August, and he introduces me to Christina, who's on the call right now. So your circle will also start to expand that way naturally too, which is so beautiful. Sanam says, how do we change our reference group when we only know the people we know? How do we take a step to get out of familiarity. You're doing it now. See, this is the thing. Don't complicate it. You're doing it. So you do more of what you're doing. Do you love this conversation? This is what you do. If this feels like it's lighting you up, it's because it is speaking to a deeper part of you. Okay. Yes, Anita, I love that. The world is your community. Embrace virtual and create. And this is the difference between reported world and created world. Reported world would say, I'm in a rural community. There may not be like-minded people. This. Created world is, what would I love? I would love to have a group of like-minded people. How would that feel? That would feel amazing. It would feel great to have them in my phone. Well, and then you're going to start to take the actions that will lead you to it, and they will be led to you. Yes. And we've got people in our program that are in rural communities. And Akshu, like Akshu, I live in a rural community too, married to a farmer. Yeah, beautiful. Yes. The other thing, and this is how Liz Bovey and I met, was through connections through female entrepreneurs as well. So what is a group that you would love to be a part of? How did you navigate family and old friends? Well, I didn't. What I mean by that is that it wasn't a matter of dropping people or dropping things. It was simply a matter of spending less time. But when I made my goal front and center, I had to lead myself. This is leadership. And I'm just ascending, and whatever's not a match is dropping. But I made my goal and my well-being my top priority. And here's the thing. What's so beautiful is you become an inspiration, and then people are like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, you're showing me what's possible for me. Okay, let's have Liz Bovey come up. Liz Bovey.
Hi, Hina.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Liz, first of all, can you please share a little bit about who you are and what you do? And we'll
Sure.
give people some context.
Of course. So I am, number one, a maritimer. I see there's someone on the call from New Brunswick. I moved to Toronto in 1999 after 4 years in Halifax. And the reason I came to Toronto was to study Montessori training. My intention was to be here for 1 year. That was 24 years ago. Following my Montessori study, I worked at 2 different schools, and then found that I found myself questioning decisions that my supervisors and principals and admin made, and just felt like I would do things in a different way. So I basically told myself, and pardon my French here, but to shit or get off the pot. That if I had a different way and a better way of doing it, then I needed to go ahead and do it, or I needed to just accept that other decisions different than what I would have made were being made. And so I did. So I opened Westside in 2008 with 5 students in a little space in downtown Toronto. And we outgrew that space, and it was also up for redevelopment, became condos. So we moved to Kensington Market in 2013. And then in January 2020, I was provided with opportunity to see a second location. And I had been in the process of trying to expand our space at Kensington Market for a couple of years, but just running into a lot of challenges along the way. So it's interesting. Hina and I've talked about expansion, and it can look different than what you may think. And so purchased a property, fell in love with the property in January 2020, worked to purchase it. It was my sourdough project. It was my lockdown project, and accepted the keys on July 27th, 2020, and opened a second location in September. So we now have 154 children between 2 campuses in downtown Toronto.
Okay.
And I'm a mother to 3. I shouldn't forget.
And in a beautiful relationship with Mark Bovey.
Him
So
too.
you just heard Liz say that in January 2020 was when they were looking at purchasing another Montessori, another school, another location for their school. Well, as we know, what was happening in March 2020? What was happening in schools? Was anybody going to school in person? No, everything went virtual. So I'm going to help you out here because I am always listening for the people. This was not like, you have to understand, to purchase another property, the banks want to see proof of concept. So you want to purchase a property where you cannot have students. And how do you plan on paying for this property? I think this is a great story, Liz, for you to tell, because and what work that you did in here that allowed what happened, because it was not a straight process at all. Would you be open to sharing that?
Of course. So I'm grateful that I saw the space and fell in love with the building prior to the world shifting, because I knew that it was mine. And I'm just going to touch on one part and then I'll get into the financial piece, Hina. So we put our offer in, I think it was about March 20th, 24th. And no one else had put an offer in. So in my mind, it was ours, but it was already ours. Like the minute I saw the building, it was Westside second campus. That was it. That was done. The universe was handling all of that for me. And then we put our offer in, and then nothing happened for 2 weeks. And then those selling the property made the decision to extend the timeline for more offers to come in. And by that point, people were starting to feel a little bit better, like perhaps the world actually wasn't ending. So 4 more offers came in, and I felt much like a toddler not getting what they felt they needed, and I honestly didn't understand. It was quite confusing and like, but it's mine. It's not yours. Like, that makes no sense to me. It's mine. I saw it first. I have it first. You're done. And so that's a whole other story. But anyhow, our offer was increased, and then our offer was accepted. And this whole time I'm thinking, my goodness, how am I going to find a few $1 million to purchase a property when legally and the asking price I will share, because I think it's important that we talk about money. The asking price, and we went up from there, the asking price was $4 million. And in my mind, I was thinking that was the listing price. How am I going to find $4 million? I don't have $4 million. And I cannot legally operate my business. So that was what I had to work to convince banks. And I have banked with Royal Bank since I was 13, since I first had a job. So I thought, well, they'll help me. And I joke that they wouldn't touch me with a 6-foot pole. TD, who the school has banked with, and so on. And perhaps I shouldn't name all the names, but anyhow, banks would not speak to me. We ended up seeking financing through the Business Development Bank of Canada. But it was weeks and weeks, and it was actually getting a little bit scary because I had put a significant deposit down. And then actually the day I put the deposit down, the government made the decision that all tuition needed to be refunded to parents. Meanwhile, we had transitioned to an online platform, and we're doing very, very well with it. And the parents had accepted that I kept all my staff on full salary, no one was laid off, and so on. So they were very grateful to be, helping to care for those people. Of course, then all of the money had to be returned, and meanwhile it had been shifted to to a deposit. So all that to say, I knew And I wrote every day, I wrote my self-image that I am the owner of 57 Sylvan Avenue. It is Westside Montessori's second location. It is filled with children from the ages of 18 months up to 14 years, and so on and so on. I wrote this every day, 3 months from the time I saw the building, which I believe was about January 26, 2020. I wrote it every single day until mid-April when we got it. And I still have those, and it's amazing to look at those notebooks and see that was such a big part of it, of shifting my mindset and helping me to make the decisions that were in line with what I knew was mine to have.
Ashima says this is making her emotional. It's making me emotional too. And I remember I was with you during that time. And Liz, like, how many no's you got, or what Liz would be receiving a lot was, well, we need this paperwork. So then she thinks she's close in the physical, like, oh, okay, they just need this one more thing. But then it was always another one more thing, another one more thing. And like, what was it, Liz? Because if we go back to this image, I just love this image. If we go to this image, Liz, and we look at the apple as that school, as that location, but so much of it was looking like it wasn't going to happen, that you would not have the money for it. You did not know how it was going to happen. And there were so many things thrown at you, like, even for your current students, you've got to now return money to. All of that was happening. And let me also just please remind everybody, Liz is also moved virtual, which she has never done before. So she's also leading teachers and staff in this uncertainty as well. Also parents, managing expectations. There is a lot happening alongside this. So many times you could have just talked yourself out of it and just said, you know what? No. What was it, Liz, that kept you through the gestation process?
Well, you taught me that Bob Proctor said the money is out there. So I knew that in there, and even in my own city, there are millions and millions and millions of dollars. So my job was not, I know that the money's there. The money for anything that any of you want to do is there. Your job becomes accessing it. So when I broke it down and my job was to find the money, it felt a lot more easy, even in those times. It's like, okay, well, I have found money before. I have found ways to access money that was not in my bank account. It might be in someone else's bank account. It's in a bank's bank account. It's in, a private investor's bank account. We don't know where it is. So our job is to access that money. So when I broke it down to that, and also so much of the other work that we had done, Hannah, like very quickly, my partner Mark and I put, we broke down our days so that I would have 3 hours every day where I could work uninterrupted, because we also had our 3 children at home, and at the time no help, because that was not available, right? So we also had to sort of look at our day in a very practical way, and what does each of us need to achieve this goal. And that was it. But yeah, really just breaking it down to, okay. And I mean, it's sort of laughable, right? That, yeah, there's millions, there's tens and hundreds, all the money is out there. It's an abundance of money. And my job was to find it and to access it and to go through a lot of no's. And because I believed so strongly in my goal and had truly fallen in love with this building and knew that it was our next campus, anytime I heard a no, it was almost like, okay, I'll go to the next one. Like, great, we're not going to waste any time. Maybe like dating in a way, like, oh, okay, so we're done. So we'll carry on with another plan, another pattern, another opportunity, really. Yeah.
And this is so important because it was your ability to think And one of the things we've been talking about on the morning calls is observe, like you've observed that, oh, they've said no, but you're deciding what meaning you're giving to it. You're not giving the meaning that the no means that this is not for you. It just means it's not for you with them. It's not going to happen here, but it will happen. It will happen in another way. And do you feel that, Liz, you could be like, you tell me, how could you be so how did you have this conviction?
Well, truly, and I've shared this with you before, Hina, when I found the address and I walked myself to the property, and it was Valentine's Day 2020. Actually, so I did see the space a little bit later. It was Valentine's Day 2020. I love Valentine's Day. I think it's the greatest holiday, that we just have a day all about love. But I looked at the building, and the property is very unusual. A few of you have visited. It's very large and L-shaped and massive, right across from Dufferin Grove Park in downtown Toronto. And I opened the gate and I just felt, and I was walking in. I had no appointment. I had no, like, truly, I had no business there, literally. I hadn't made an appointment. The daycare that was in existence there was still open. And I'm walking up, and there's a very long walkway. I'm walking up thinking, like, what are you doing? If someone were to come onto my property, onto Westside Montessori's property, I would, stop them right away. Why are you here? What's your business? Can I help you? Da da da. So I'm walking in, and I honestly felt like physiologically that I was pulled, like drawn in, and that was a new feeling for me. I know some people have those feelings a lot. That was very, very new for me. And truly, that's the only way to explain it. And I walked in, and as I'm walking this long walk, I'm thinking, like, do I tell them that I'm a mom of 3? That's not a lie. Do I tell them that I'm looking to expand? That's not a lie. And so I walked in and was greeted at the door by the manager of the daycare, who, of course, like I would, said, hi, can I help you? And I looked around and I said, my name's Liz Bovey. I own and operate a Montessori school not too far from here. We're looking to expand, and it just looks to me like you may have some space available. And of course, I'm also mindful that this daycare manager may not know that she's about to lose her job, or she's about to start working for someone else, or, so I don't want to be the one to break that news. So she does this. She calls me into her office, and she said, how do you know? We just told our parents yesterday. How do you know? And I said, oh. So I just played dumb. I just said, oh, the childcare industry is pretty small and close knit. And I just heard some rumblings. And meanwhile, I had my appointment booked and everything. So truly, I just, and from that moment on, there was nothing was going to stop me. The fact that I couldn't legally run my business, the fact that I didn't have 4 million plus, that just, like, all of that, like a bank telling me no, okie doke, off we go, make another call, find someone else. Like, the money is there. The time is there, even at a time where it felt like all I was doing was preparing snacks for young children who couldn't go to my school. So that is there. The time and the money is there. And you have to, you just have to stay committed and believe in your goal and write it out, truly writing it out. And I have ups and downs with writing my goal. And I know anytime I shift away from it, I have to have a stern talking with myself and get back into it. It makes such a difference. And the community, when you were talking about the people that you surround yourself with, I messaged Lexi and I said, well, I guess we're in the inner circle forever.
I love that. Lexi and Liz are in a group called the Inner Circle, and it talk about a reference group. Mm-hmm. Wow, to have, right? Like, it's absolutely incredible. Liz, what are you most proud of about yourself as how you show up as a leader?
That's a great question. I feel that I operate from a place of integrity. And I believe so strongly that we must, in my work, that we must make the right decision for the children. And there are a lot of childcare centers and a lot of schools that perhaps, politics get in the way, certainly money gets in the way. And those things can be challenges. They can be obstacles, definitely. But I feel like if you know your end goal and my mentor, Maria Montessori, one of my mentors, her end goal was world peace through education, through the children. If I can be a part of helping those children to become strong, independent, compassionate, kind individuals, to care for each other and to care for the earth, that helps me, you know, that is my compass in every decision I make, whether it's a decision about a playground renovation or, you know, sporting equipment to order, you know, what is best for the children. So that is my goal, is always what is best for the children, and everything else, all decisions are made with that at the forefront. So I think if you know your end goal and you have clarity on that, you will find a lot of ease. Perhaps I shouldn't say a lot. You will find more ease in all of the day-to-day decisions that you have to make. And, you know, decision making is a huge part of Hina's work. And it's something that I used to struggle with. And now I just, you know, it's a quick yes or no. It's a left or it's a right. It's just, you know, strong leaders have to make quick decisions. Because like you said, you know, we need those who are working for us and with us to believe in us and believe in our vision. So I think what I am most proud of as a leader is I truly believe that I make every decision from a place of what is best for the children.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Hina.
You have just inspired so many people on the call live, those listening to the recording. Sometimes I tell you, I look at you, Liz, I look at, you know, I'll see all the names on the morning calls or on the Tuesday calls when I see all the names and see the people, and I'm like, this group, it's just incredible. It is so incredible. And how your stories and who you are being is so inspiring. It's like, you know, iron sharpens iron. I love it. Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
Oh, so good. So what did we hear there was, again, I'm telling you, my favorite slide until the next masterclass. I may use it in every even for no reason. I'm just going to be showing it. Liz has a goal, the second location. She feels drawn. So what I say, what I do, it's spirituality meets peak performance. It's that she could hear what she has, that ability to, that feeling you have. It's whether you're accessing it or whether you are aware of it. She could feel it. She physiologically felt a change, and she felt information come to her through that. And the information was, this is your school. And then she took that information, she accepted it. She accepted it and expected it. And all the time when it looked like it wasn't going to happen, all that time, and she is holding that vision. And did you hear, she's writing it out every single day. And I know she's doing this, like we get on calls every single day, and that's the first thing that people will do. But she's moving into action too. And the action is tied to, that is my school. And so when she hears a no, the no is not having her wobble on, well, maybe this is not meant to be. It's like, oh, it's not meant to be with you, but it's meant to be. And that's how it came to be. She could have walked away so many times. So many times. And so you want to be able to have that level of clarity. So did you hear it was clarity? Like that's why we wanted, when Mario was teaching yesterday about writing your goal, it was like, let's get clear. And then what I want you to do is go back to what you wrote so that you can get clear about the actions that you need to take. I know some of you are like, what is the inner circle? That sounds like a fun group to be in. I can tell you it is. We've got lots of different groups, different programs that you can join. Tomorrow, I'm going to share what's open for enrollment and what's available. If you feel like, I really want to know now because I'm feeling something physiological here telling me that I want more of this and this is my next step, please book a call with Mario. We can put his booking link in the chat, and that would be the next step. I just want to continue with some teaching, but tomorrow we'll have a full Q&A as well. You can ask me any questions that you have. We'll go through the home play that we've done, and I'll tell you about all of the programs and how you can count some of these people as your reference group. So with that, I want to bring up Ashima. Can we please bring up Ashima? And then after this, I'm going to go through another piece of home play, and I'm going to do more teaching. And then we're going to end in about 30 minutes. Hi, Ashima.
Hi, Hina. How are you? Let's sip our water.
Let's sip our water. So Ashima, I did a podcast, and the name of the podcast was given to me. The name of the episode was given to me by Ashima, because when Ashima found me, she found me one way was, or she noticed me from seeing a picture of me on or in front of a private jet, and she said, "Who's the brown girl on a private jet?" That is my favorite line of all time. Ashima, can you tell us a little bit about where you were before you started doing this work?
Yeah. So I think I found you last year around March. I remember March or April because it was around my birthday. And I had also put down the down payment for my condo. So that was when I was, for context, I'm an ad agency owner. I started almost 5 years ago. I was still at a corporate job at the time. And then I transitioned to full-time business ownership a little over 2 years ago. So yeah, so last year, like, it was one of my big goals that I wanted to own my property. And it might sound silly to people, but I've had the money. Like, I had the money for almost a year, but I did not even look at properties just because of some fear, or I don't know, the whole conversation in my head, like, who are you to do it? Like, none of my friends are here. Like, I'm too young, or like all of those fears. And it was around that time when I was like, no, I'm doing this. You know how Liz was talking about that physiological pull? For me, it's like my intuition gets really loud when something is for me. And then that's when I made I did the down payment. It was a pre-construction assignment sale, so a lot of legal stuff. And then that was when I like literally prayed. I'm like, I need someone to tell me or show me that this is okay, like someone to support me. Because I didn't have a lot of examples in my peer group. And I think Gazi was in my circle, who was working with you at the time. And then she shared like a replay link to your webinar. It was about wealth. And I remember just walking and I was listening to it. I didn't even watch it, like a replay. 15 minutes in and I made the payment. I'm like, I don't care. I need this kind of energy in my life. So at the time, it was not that I didn't have things, but I was still afraid, and I didn't have that community who understood what wealth meant and how it's just so much more than money, and it's okay to have it, and dropping the shame around it, if that makes sense. That's where I was.
That makes perfect sense. And I love what you're saying, Ashima, because it's also about spending or investing money in you, in yourself. And there can be a lot of judgment that we have around that. And I think, like, when you said that, and so now your reference group changed, you saw examples of this. And one of the things that it makes me think of with you, so how does this change things in your life? Well, when you start to do this work, the work is about expanding our awareness and enlarging our capacity. And one of the things I see with you, Ashima, is that you have enlarged your capacity to receive. Now, Ashima, has the money to do something, she is not doing it because of judgments that, and also because she cannot, there would be a block to receiving. Receiving is very important. It is critical in creating wealth, in creating generational wealth, and keeping money in circulation as well. And the reason I say, I believe that one of the first things you did was enlarge your capacity to receive. You received when you allowed yourself the mentorship.
Mm.
You received when you allowed yourself to have the condo. And when you did that, you started to receive different from your clients. And I'll set this up for you, and then you let me know if I'm right. And if I'm not, please tell me no.
Yeah.
What I remember is you moved into receiving full pay.
Mm. Yeah.
And you hadn't done that before.
Yeah. I think it's so, totally, you're like, everything that you're sharing is correct. I do think the important part there is like I'm a big giver. Like 10% of our revenue goes back, like I give back, like it's very easy for me. I also like, I understand just like naturally the whole circulation of money, but it is about receiving it for myself. It's easier for me to like, oh, I will do this coaching program for my business, but it's like, oh, this is for me. That's when it gets like hard, or used to get hard. I earlier this year, and I was thinking about it. So currently the way my business model, not currently, how it used to work was like we get monthly, retainer payments, which is like 3,000 to 5,000 every month from our clients. And it's a great model. And it really did not occur to me that I could receive the payments in full and have it and still deliver or probably over deliver for my clients. And yeah.
Sorry, can I pause there? So it did not occur to me. What does that mean? Well, that means that possibility was always here. Ashima was not aware of it. So that's what mentorship and being in a community starts to, this is how it starts to expand your awareness. You didn't even know that you could ask for it all up front.
Yeah. And it's so strange now to me that why did it not occur to me? Because I was already attracting really like amazing, strong leaders as my client. And it was my client, like literally one of my clients was like, Ashima, I don't want to pay monthly invoices. Can you just invoice me for the year? And then I had another client, she's like, can you just do automatic payments? I don't want to be paying every month. So it literally was, they were asking me to do it too. And then and like earlier this year, I had this goal. I'm like, this is my goal. It's super easy. It's going to happen with the way I want it. And I was like, oh, all I need is 10 clients paying me this much for the year. And that's the goal that that was the place to go for me. And that's what I operated from. And I cannot even explain how easy it was and how easily I got the yeses from my clients. In my head, I'm like, oh, well, people are not going to be up for it. And then it was just like, people was like, yeah, this is easy. It's good for them. And honestly, I genuinely believe that it felt like a miracle to like get that 40K payment in one day. Like that used to be
I remember that
salary, like annual salary a few years ago. And I'm like, whoa, we just did that in a day with one client. Like that's wild. And honestly, that's not the only painful that I received. So it just, it becomes natural when I think it's a switch in your head.
Well, and I think, it becomes natural because you're around people that are talking about it being natural. Make your annual income, your monthly income. You made an annual income in a day. So how do you think, Ashima, that for you, the community, the morning calls, how does that support you? Like, what is it about that has helped you tweak some things, if it has, to create what you are creating now?
Yeah, I think the number one thing, I am someone who loves a routine. So the 6 a.m. calls are everything for me. And I feel like it's almost the repetition. Like I was naturally doing a few things before I joined the program, but I did not know really what was I doing that was working. So it was the deconstruction of like, oh, that's why the giving or the circulation work. This is the principle. So it was knowledge, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the 6 a.m. calls, because it's like the first thing that I do for myself. I receive first. Right? Before I work on any of my client projects, any of that, I do it for myself. I start there. And I think, as humans, as business owners, especially, you're gonna have the highs and the lows, the ebbs and flows. It's a given. The more you accept that, the better it is for you. And it's the meaning that you give it. And I feel like it's like every day, just how, you take a shower, brush your teeth every morning, to me, to like work on my mindset and constantly, almost consistently remind myself, like, and I think with the community, with you just like kind of, it's a habit to, how do I say it, to comb through my thoughts every day, because it could be hard to just do it on your own, I think.
I love what you said, and it's resonating with people in the chat at 11:11 that you receive first. So what a huge shift.
Yeah.
If you, and as a leader, you've got to be very clear. You're making decisions, you're taking on, as you're growing, your team is growing, right? So it's more people to help support as well. And I'd love to know what you are most proud of as you've been on this journey.
I love how I continue to bet on myself, like every day. Like the team, I have full-time people working for me. I get to, like, with every vendor I choose, with every team member I choose, I can advance my mission. Like, I am an immigrant, that's a huge part of my identity. So I get to do that easily. I get to make that journey easier for other folks. I very similar to what Liz said. It's like that's my mission, and everything that I do supports it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashima. So what we're hearing here is clarity about who you are being, your mission. And as a leader, and again, just leading yourself. If you're in a role, you work in a company, or you're leading yourself in your family, or you're leading yourself in as a business owner, but maybe it's a company of one right now. You want to have that clear vision in your mind. And that's what we talked about. And so I want to go back to the slides. And I know we're getting some questions about what are these calls? And again, I'm going to answer all of it tomorrow, but you can certainly please speak to our team. They will be happy to answer those questions. I want to make sure that I'm getting the teaching in. Oh, I love that. Okay. So you nailed it. That this is what you filled out yesterday. This was the home play. I'm so happy and grateful now that. And then you thought about, okay, so I'll just use Liz as an example because it's fresh, and we'll go back to before it actually had manifested and happened. I'm so happy and grateful now that I own 2 locations. We are serving our students, our parents powerfully, creating a difference in our world through educating children. Something like that. How does Liz feel? She feels satisfied, happy, abundant, fulfilled, confident. So what are the actions that she is taking? The actions are, and this is what I wanted to really hone in. I want you to hone in on that. Actions are call 3 banks today. The actions are speak to a architect. The actions are find a designer for some of the rooms that I might change. The actions are talk to my leadership team about this. The actions are create a calendar with Mark so that we can see when I'll be doing some focused time. Those were specific actions that came from the goal. Now, when we look at that image of the life cycle, what we know is, how do we manage, though, when those fears come up, those judgments come up, those doubts and worries? Because what those are, if I can just go back, what that is, it's weeds. And weeds spread quickly. This is why, remember that study I shared with you, with you, where it was said, if you sit next to a low performer, it will decrease your productivity by 30%. It spreads. The weeds spread, and it's going to choke out your goal, what you've planted. It's going to take over what you've planted. So we've got to pull out the weeds, and that's what your home play is. So let me go now to that. That's the obstacles, and it's within you. It's not the bank in Liz's case. It was any doubts that would come up, because there was another bank to go to. There was another way. There's always another way. There is always a way. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to this, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to write your goal, and then think, what are the things that are slowing me down or standing in my way? Because that's the weed that we need to pull out. And then you're going to write it here, what those are. And then we're going to do one piece of work tomorrow with this. But what you're doing is you are forging a path that is your path, that's not obstructed with weeds. You see, you're creating a habit pattern, a thought pattern. And then you're going to post that, by the way, in the day 2 comment section. You're going to post that. So let me just share a little bit about what I mean by this. As a leader, you've got to know where you're going. You know, everyone you've heard from, Nicole, Lexi, Ashima, Liz, they knew where they were going. It was very clear in their minds. You are forging a path, and you might be doing this in your family. You might want to be, I want to be the first millionaire in my family. I want to be the first person that gets a post-secondary education in my family. I want to be the one that buys my mother a house. Like, that's leadership too. So you think about what that is, and you've got that goal. But you see, you've not walked that path before. And you know, when I want you to imagine right now that there is a path, that you're in a field with tall grass. And there is a path where that grass is stamped down. If that grass is stamped down, pressed down, what does that tell us about that part of the field? What has happened? What has happened? It's been walked on, Sarah. Absolutely. It has been walked on. Your current results, your current path, Jude, well-used path. Amanda, the path that is most traveled. That's your habit. That's your habitual path. That's your train of thoughts. What everybody that you've heard from so far had to do was create a new path. So now you're creating a path where it's not well-worn. You haven't walked this multiple times yet. You're the first person walking this path. It's, you know, when you're walking a path like that, that's not well used, it's not like, you feel a little wobbly at times. Your footing, it's not like a strong footing because it hasn't been, you haven't taken this path before. So you are creating a new path. I want you to think of this now. Take that analogy now, take it to your mind of thoughts. That's what the repetition of writing is. Creating a new habit pattern. Creating a new habit pattern. And whenever a weed, like Ashima said, ebbs and flows, law of rhythm, whenever a weed shows up, you're taking it out. You're identifying it, as opposed to letting that weed create another weed and create momentum. That's what Liz did. When a weed would come up, when she heard a no, it would have turned into a lot of weeds if she had decided that the no meant that she couldn't do it, because then what she would have done was looked for evidence to support not doing it. But because it was a quick, because like she said, she learned the habit of making decisions and she was so connected to her goal, it was a quick next. She didn't give it energy. What are you giving energy to? Yes, Jude, create a new habit pattern, a new path. And that is what you want to do as a leader. And the way that you do that, because is now you're aware. You see, for Ashima to drop any shame around money, she had to become aware that she had shame around money, around spending money, around showing money. She did not know that. It was happening. But for many people, there is something that is happening that you just think that's the way it is. You actually don't know that you can change that. And that is why your reference group is so important, because the repetition supported in a container of a reference group can help you when you are literally in the weeds. We can help you pull that out. So how do you become aware? It's through self-study. And the other thing is you realize that not everybody feels the way that you do. I'm going to share an example that you're like, Hina, what? And it has to do with Liz Bovey and others too. So on our morning calls, I don't know, I was giving an example, like on these calls, I give examples of my own life. And I was like, yeah, you know how you don't want to go to the dentist? Well, there was like a revolt in the chat. A lot of people like going to the dentist. Liz Bovey is one, but I've learned about the things that come with her dental visit, which include a hand massage and some carrot juice, and I can get my energy behind that. But I actually did not know that people liked to go to the dentist, that they found it relaxing. I was not aware of that. I became aware of that. Then I had to go to the dentist and I was like, I'm going to Liz Bovey this. I listened to something and I was like, because I know that it is a possibility that this can be a beautiful experience, that this can be relaxing. Now, that may seem like a really silly, trite example, but we are on autopilot, you see, and we believe what we believe is true and fact. And we believe that it's true for us, it's true for everybody, and it's not. And so when this is why I share so many things in my life, the things like the private jet. It's to show others what is possible for them, because they may be having a narrative about money, about what is deemed success, whatever it is. And then this could interrupt the narrative. Liz Bovey and others on that call interrupted my narrative. Yes. Dr. Dana Coulson, she has no idea. I don't know if there's a referral bonus that she gets, Liz Bovey, but I think everyone needs to let them know that they came through Liz. So the point is, who would you be if you believed, like Liz did, that the money was there? Who would you be if you believed, like Ashima did, that you are worthy and that you can enlarge your capacity to receive, and you receive first? Who would you be if you believed that that goal that you wrote down is done? Creation is finished. It's now just a matter of you actually letting go of anything that is not serving you in the creation of that. You want to create a way of being that is a match to your goal. That will mean that a piece of you will have to die. The part of Ashima that carried shame around money, that part had to die. You cannot have a little bit of shame around money and do what she's doing. I guess, maybe that's not completely accurate. You could, but you wouldn't enjoy it. You wouldn't enjoy it because you wouldn't be able to have it. You could receive it maybe, but you wouldn't be able to have it. You'd have to keep giving it all away, or you would store it, but you wouldn't enjoy it. So you want to create a way of being, and that would mean killing off parts of yourself fully. Fully, yes, you wouldn't fully experience it. I love that, Ashima. And that's the part that's the weeds, and that's the part that's going to try to talk you out of that goal. But this is what I want you to know. And if you haven't done it, you're going to do the first part of that home play. You would not have the conscious awareness of that goal for you if it was not possible for you to have it. The fact that you are aware of it, for some of you, you put 50,000, some of you put 10,000 a month, some of you put some things that you wanted to do, some places you wanted to go, homes you wanted to buy, whatever it is. The fact that you can connect to that means that it is yours. Do you accept it? Do you expect it? Will you create a way of being that has it? We're going to go deeper into this tomorrow. I'm going to give you the final part of what to do now that these judgments have come up. But what I want you to do with these judgments and these fears of what comes up is just write them down, but don't get emotionally involved in them, and be grateful, because these judgments would not come up if you were not going to be ascending. There's no reason for it. It's only coming up because it knows it cannot exist with where you are going. All right. Okay. Have you enjoyed today? Again, I want to acknowledge you for showing up live. There's such a great energy when we show up live, right? Isn't it amazing hearing these stories? I hope when you're listening with the hearing of, they are showing me what's possible for me. Ashima, Liz, Lexi, Nicole, Hina, they're showing me what is possible for me. And Mario says, watch the replay. Yes, tonight, before you go to bed, watch it. Listen to it on your commute anywhere, over and over again. It's the repetition. We will see you here tomorrow at 10 a.m. And once we gather all the people that have been here live, we will then be drawing for this, and we will announce that in the Success Circle. Can we please drop the Success Circle link in the chat one more time? I'm going to say bye and let Gabby close out the call. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Hina. And of course, thank you to you. Thank you to everyone on this call who took time yesterday and today to watch the replay, to join us live. And tomorrow we're back at the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And for some people over the world, it's afternoon or evening. And of course, today's replay will be sent out this afternoon. We'll send you a reminder email for tomorrow's call in the morning. We hope to see you tomorrow again. We'll be doing the draw for the coins in the Success Circle. All the links have been dropped and they'll be in today's email as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy your afternoon. Happy Friday. You go be that leader that you are. Bye-bye.